All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. This is our kickoff meeting for the Solar Photovoltaic Systems Recovery, Reuse, and Recycling Work Group. Yes, I did practice that in the mirror before this, and didn't have any mistakes, so pretty proud of that. But first, I'm actually going to turn this over to Tyler Abbott, who is the chair for this particular work group. And then I just have a short little presentation. And then the university is going to give an update on, well, we'll do introductions. And then the university is going to give a little update on what they are doing to help support this work group. Then uh, we'll have some discussion, and then we will open it up to the public. So, Tyler?
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today for our first meeting here. I think this is the second longest title of a commission that I'm on currently. So I also have the Appalachian States Low-Level Radioactive Waste Commission Compact. So we just love the long titles around here. But I certainly appreciate you all joining us. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. As we know, moving forward here, PV is going to take it's going to make such a great impact in Maryland, but we got to make sure that we're managing that, the other side of the equation as well. And I think we've assembled the greatest people here so that we can try to work through that issue. With that, just also a brief introduction for me. I'm Tyler Abbott. I'm Director of the Land and Materials Administration here at Maryland Department of the Environment. So I have the pleasure of overseeing Resource Management Program, which Bradley is the program manager of. And Bradley has so kindly put a ton of effort into this, along with other members of the team, especially those in our climate program, so that we can have a successful first meeting, as well as action-packed agendas going forward. So with that, I'll kick it off to Bradley to run through member introductions.
Yeah. So thank you for that. I must say I did get a lot of help from the team. And I appreciate all the planning and forethought that went into this. So I guess I'll start, and then I'll work through the list just so that we don't have any awkward pauses with introductions. So my name is Bradley Baker, Program Manager for the Resource Management Program at the Maryland Department of the Environment. I actually have three groups that report up to me. The first one is waste diversion, which includes recycling, scrap tires, compost permits, stuff like that, animal feeding operations, and the biosolids group. And one of the reasons why I wanted to be a part of this particular group, and just tell a little story, I actually am originally from Arizona, and I worked at the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. And one of the things that I was responsible for during my time at ADEQ was managing all of the cathode ray tube enforcement and dumping cases. So if you know, or if you don't know a little bit about the history of electronics recycling, and specifically CRTs, electronic recycling and CRTs has had a pretty storied history. Essentially, there was an unnamed state that was subsidizing the quote unquote recycling of CRTs, and they were getting certifications that they were being recycled, but the vast majority of those were actually going to Arizona and Ohio. I had something like I would say maybe 8 to 10 warehouses in Arizona that were stacked to the gills with CRTs, cathode ray tubes. So I don't want the same thing to happen with solar panels. The good thing is that we have some time. We have a fantastic, diverse group that is going to help us work some of the issues, or work through the issues, and hopefully mitigate some of the problems we've seen with some other types of electronics recycling in the past. And as you will see in our schedule, we have a rock star presenters that are from all over the industry, and we're still trying to get some more presenters as well. But we haven't quite worked through some of the logistics and working with people's schedules. So that's a lot about me. My apologies. But I'm going to move to Andrew Cave next.
Thank you very much. Do you want to do the members of the commission and then the public?
Sure. I have the members here actually in the presentation. So yeah, let's work through the members first. I was going alphabetical, but that's fine as well. So Senator Benjamin Brooks.
Yes, thanks. So for the record, I'm Senator Ben Brooks. I represent the 10th Legislative District in Baltimore County. I serve on the Triple E Committee, that's Education, Energy, and the Environment. Yes, and I'm happy to be a part of this work group. I installed solar panels back in 2017 on my house. So in another 3 years, I'll be coming up on that 10-year mark, and I'm told that they should last at least 20 to 30 years. And with a proper care, you could possibly get 25 to 50 out. So, but we do have to consider what we're going to do when they reach the end of their useful life. And I'm sure because of the makeup, you know, the metals, the aluminum, you know, the copper, you know, the silver, hopefully all of those can be recovered and reused. So I'm very, very happy to be a part of this work group. Thanks.
Yeah, I actually just had my solar panels installed this past Tuesday. So very excited to have those. And they told me similar, 25 years was what they said, but with some love and care, you can get some more out of them.
Yes.
All right. So Delegate Mike Rogers. Hearing none, maybe there's a muting issue. Tyler already introduced himself. I'm going to move on to Evie Schwartz.
Yes, thank you. I'm Evie Schwartz. I'm representing the Maryland Energy Administration, which is our state energy office, on behalf of Director Pinsky. For those who are less familiar with our work, we promote clean, affordable, and reliable energy across Maryland, and a big focus is to make sure we do so in a just and equitable manner. I've been with MEA for about 9 months, but I'm not new to the solar industry. I've been working in the solar industry for a decade, and really, I just coming out of a solar conference actually all week, where major themes from the conference have been around how our industry can be more equitable and responsible as stewards, and the topic of PV recycling and reuse and the entire life cycle was a very common thread of conversation. So I'm feeling really energized given this last week for the start of this work in the recycling work group, and I'm excited to join. So thank you so much, Bradley.
All right, and then Secretary Josh Kurtz. Hearing none, moving to David Chai, and if I mispronounce your name, my apologies. All right. Is Diana Menendez on the line? All right. And these next items people were appointed by the governor is Pearl Donahue Valet.
I applaud the effort. I'm Pearl Donahue Valette. It is a long last name. Totally recognize that. I am the Director of Regulatory Affairs for Pepco and Delmarva. Previously, I led our decarbonization team, so have a lot of face with the solar industry and worked at NREL way back in the day. So something near and dear to my heart.
Oh, and it looks like we did have a comment from David in the chat. David, I don't think we can hear you, but if you could just in the chat, just put in who you are, who you work for, and all that. All right. The next is David Bugelman.
Yep. My name's David Bugelmans. I'm with the law firm Gordon Feinblatt. In that capacity, I work with a ton of different utility scale solar developers. At this point, I've probably done more than 75% of all the utility scale solar CPCNs in the state. One of the important pieces to those CPCNs is the condition to the permit that requires approval of decommissioning plans. So at this point, I've worked with dozens and dozens of developers getting those plans approved. So hoping to bring my experience to this group.
All right. And then Stacy Ono.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Stacy Ono. I'm the manager of community solar at Baltimore Gas and Electric. I've been in this position for about a year now. I'm excited to be on this work group with all of you, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
All right. And Scott Elias.
Hi, Scott's not on, but I'm his designated alternate, so I'll come off mute and say hello. Leah Meredith, Senior Manager over the Mid-Atlantic region at SEIA, Solar Energy Industry Association. We're the national trade group for the solar and storage industries. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bob Sadzinski.
Yeah, good afternoon, Bob Sadzinski, Director of the Power Plant Research Program here under Maryland DNR. So we do the CPCNs for the state, and as such, we've done 100% of the CPCN solar projects in the state, which amounts to about 82, maybe 83 at this point that have come through my office for review. Again, we look at the environmental socioeconomic impact of those, make a recommendation to the Public Service Commission. And hence, we have taken a deep dive into decommissioning, and we have a draft report that we will probably share with you that is hopefully we go final here in a month or so. Yep.
All right. Great. Hopefully, you can do a presentation on that later in this work group.
I could be coaxed into that. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. And then for our last seat, we are working through some bureaucracy, but we have someone who's identified for that. We are looking at Bob Nicholson. I don't know if he's on the line for that.
Yep, I'm here, Bradley.
Would you be able to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Bob Nicholson. I am the Sustainability and Recycling Manager at the Solar Energy Industry Association. My primary focus over the past 2 years has been on recycling infrastructure within the U.S. for end-of-life photovoltaics.
All right. Thank you very much. Now we are going to work through the non-members. So Andrew Kays.
Good afternoon, all. Andrew Kays. I'm the Executive Director of the Northeast Maryland Waste Disposal Authority. 8-member jurisdictions, roughly 2/3 of the state in terms of total population represented. 7 of our members have landfills, so that's part of our interest. As an agency, we've also developed 3 solar projects related to solid waste projects. Closed landfill on top of a transfer station and adjacent to a wastewater treatment plant, and just here to listen and learn.
All right. Caleb Flora.
Hey guys, I'm with Solar Energy Services. I'm the design specialist, and we are here basically for the same reason, to learn. We have been running into issues with finding outlets for us to recycle our solar panels, so hopefully we'll be able to find a solution here.
All right. And then Evan Vaughn.
Yes, good afternoon. Hi, everybody. I'm Executive Director of the Mid-Atlantic Renewable Energy Coalition. We represent about 50 utility-scale wind, solar, and storage developers across the PJM grid. And I've personally worked on a number of legislative and regulatory issues related to solar decommissioning in states like Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Kentucky. So glad to see you all and look forward to hearing the conversation.
And then we have Eye of the Raven. That's an interesting first name.
Hey, sorry about that. It's just my Gmail. I'm actually at Solar Energy Service as well. My name is Will Ward. I'm the head of the head of the recycling committee here. We were actually same thing, just interested in finding out more about recycling solar in a safe and environmental way.
All right, Kathleen Kennedy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kathleen Kennedy. I'm an assistant research professor at the University of Maryland, and I'll be introducing myself and my team a little bit more later on.
All right, and then Mary, don't have a last name on here.
I work with Caleb and the Eye of the Raven. I am here just for a fact-finding mission as well. Just trying to learn more about what we're going to do with everything once they expire.
All right, Morgan Mills.
Hi there, my name is Morgan Mills. I'm a principal with Compass Advocacy. My firm represents several solar clients, so here to listen and learn and be a part of the conversation. Thanks.
Yeah, Nitzen Goldberger.
Hi, thanks. Nitzan Goldberger with New Leaf Energy. We're a solar and energy storage developer. I'm the policy and business development director in the Mid-Atlantic and have, similar to Evan, worked on several recycling and decommissioning pieces of legislation across the country. And also our company is very focused on that. So happy to be part of the conversation and hope to be able to help.
All right. And then working through the list, Shannon McDonald.
Hi, I'm Shannon McDonald. I'm with the Maryland Department of the Environment. My role in the state is to assist with recycling market development, and that also parlays into reuse markets as well.
And then Stephanie Vo, and then it looks like we have someone who wants to join in. But Stephanie?
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie. I'm the Maryland Program Coordinator at the University of Maryland Center for Global Sustainability. I work with Kathleen, and I'm just working to coordinate all the 4 new working groups with MDE.
Stephanie has been a great help prepping for this. And then finally, Mike, I saw you come on. We're just finishing up with Cindy, did you have a question?
Just wanted to jump in really quickly after Stephanie to quickly introduce myself, Cindy Osordo, Policy Analyst of the Climate Change Program and helping support the Climate Change Commission. Really glad to see this working group kick off.
Thanks, Cindy. Delia Rogers, good to see you.
Yes. Somehow I missed the invitation, but certainly very appreciative of my colleague, Senator Brooks, for reminding me that I get to be a part of the team. So excited to be here. And please feel free to send me future invites directly, and I'll make sure that I'm on time.
And we do have an email list. You should be on there, but I'll take an action item to see what happens with that. So, and just
Thank
to
you,
make sure
Bradley.
that your correct email is on there also.
No, very, as a member of the Economic Matters Committee, very excited to participate.
All right. Okay. So, this work group is one of the work groups with the Maryland Commission on Climate Change. I won't go through all of the dates of this, but there's essentially 8 working groups that are a part of that. There's the last 4 on here are the new ones, and we're very excited to get those up and running. We already looked at this. So just to kind of go through our schedule, and then I will turn this over to the university. So first days, really going to be a lot of introduction, scope, schedule, expectations. What do people want to get out of this? Dr. Kathleen Kennedy is going to be talking about some of the great research that her team is doing and the project that they are working on. Just so you know, I'm going to be giving a lot of anecdotal evidence throughout all this, but Dr. Kennedy's team, they're going to be doing actual research. So I put a little bit more weight into what they are putting together. Then on our June 17th meeting, we're going to be having Bob Nicholson and Scott Elias giving a presentation on some of the stuff that they're doing. We're going to be having a conversation about the current state of solar recycling. Still working on this speaker, Dr. Indul Kachu. I actually saw a fantastic presentation that he put together in September of last year, and it was talking about the forecasting of when we expect the peak of solar to be, and then the subsequent need for recycling, and talking about when we're expecting to get different technologies up and running. He's also working on the universal waste rule that the EPA is working on as well, which I don't know if by the time we have this presentation that will be fully baked, but and some of these speakers may move as well, just depending on schedules as well. Also, if you have recommendations for speakers as well, please send them my way, and we would be happy to try and get them scheduled. Next, at our July 15th meeting, and that's say Bob, not Bab. Bob and I actually spoke a little bit before this, but they recently came out with a report talking about decommissioning solar panel consideration. We have David Comis with MEA. He's working with a bunch of graduate students, and he's going to be reporting out on some of their findings from their projects. And then a potential speaker is Neil Basavada with Overdrive ROPS. August 19th, we're going to be looking at life cycle analysis and economic analysis. We have the university, and so UMD and Johns Hopkins are going to be giving an update on their research. We're looking at NREL, which I'm super excited about. Garvin Keith is going to be giving a presentation. And then September 16th, we're going to be looking at what some of the other states are going to be doing, what some other countries are, and how they are approaching solar recycling. And then we're going to be talking about various different certification programs, like how do you actually know that your solar panel is being recycled? So we have Mike Esterbrook from Theory, Karen Drodiak with First Solar, and then we're still trying to work through the logistics, Megan Warfield from Washington State. So Washington State has put a lot of thought leadership into solar recycling. So we'll have a conversation about solar panel stewardship. Then October 18th, we're going to be talking about financing mechanisms and infrastructure needs. So we have Pablo Diaz. It might actually be someone else at Solar Cycle, but if you're tracking the new Solar Cycle, recently got a pretty large either loan or investment. I'm not exactly sure how the financial mechanism was from HG Ventures. So I was hoping to have a conversation with those folks to talk about, if you're going to solar recycling, what are the financing needs for actually scaling up? And then if you're a financier out there, then what are you, what are some of the considerations that you were looking at when you are deciding whether to invest or loan your money or not? And then November 18th, we're going to be doing a final report out on the research that the universities are doing. And we'll probably have some more room with some speakers in that group. If you if you have recommendations on potential speakers, there's a lot of excellent people that are putting great work into this space, and it would definitely behoove us to learn about what they are doing and hopefully rip off and deploy if we can as well. We're probably going to be having more meetings in the November, December timeframe, depending on how complete our report is. But I'm hoping that we can, as we are going through these presentations, we can work on the report so we're not all scrambling at the end as well. So again, we have a pretty wide breadth of speakers for this, and there's going to be a lot to talk about, definitely. So any questions before I turn this over to Dr. Kathleen Kennedy? And you should know we're going to be posting all of this. Stephanie has actually taken notes for us, so and those will all be posted on our website as well. We will make sure that you have that link to that website if you don't already have it. All right, passing the torch.
All right, thanks, Bradley. So let me see if I can share my screen here. Okay, so I'm presenting on behalf of the research team that's going to be putting together the formal study that's required as part of this working group remit. So today I just wanted to provide a brief introduction to who's on that research team and then talk through some of the statutory requirements for that report. So we have a multi-institutional team that's come together to work on this. The group at University of Maryland School of Public Policy is from the Center for Global Sustainability. So that's where Stephanie and I work. And I am leading that team as the Maryland Program Director at CGS. We've also got Bradley Phelps, who recently graduated from the UMD Masters of Public Policy program, Stephanie Vo, who introduced herself earlier as the Maryland Program Coordinator, and Dr. Steve Smith, who is actually joint appointed between the Center for Global Sustainability here and the Pacific Northwest National Lab. We've also got a wonderful team over at Johns Hopkins University who's working with us, and they're leading on the technical side of the report. So they're with the engineering school at Hopkins, and that's Professor Susanna Thon and her PhD student Shreyas. So the statutory requirements for the report are quite extensive. So wanted to drop a link in the chat here where you can go to MD's website and read the full text if you would like. But I've tried to summarize in the next couple of slides just sort of the big picture elements that are included. So first, it requires a review of solar PV systems that are currently used in the state. That includes the number of systems, the expected life cycle of those systems, what materials are used in the solar panels, and the potential impacts of disposal on the state's landfills. It's also supposed to review best practices for managing the end of life of solar PV systems. So that includes potential reuse of the panels for other purposes, recycling, safe disposal of waste in landfills, and safe disposal of any components that would be deemed hazardous materials. We'll also be doing a review of other end-of-life programs for PV systems. So this may be in other states or other countries even, looking to the EU and things like that. And doing a review of other relevant recent studies in the literature and from other institutions like NREL, who have done a lot of work on this in the past. It also requires some comparisons with other forms of energy generation. So looking at solar versus non-solar end-of-life cost impacts on ratepayers, the life cycle environmental impacts of end-of-life scenarios for different generation technologies, and then the environmental and economic benefits of generation itself. So looking at the use phase rather than end-of-life. It also includes a component on financing mechanisms, looking at which mechanisms might support a circular economy approach for PV systems, and analyzing if those financing mechanisms are necessary to ensure proper end-of-life management. And then finally, it looks at examining and recommending infrastructure needed for these end-of-life processes of reuse, refurbishment, recycling, or disposal. So our timeline for this, as Bradley mentioned, we'll be providing a progress report to the working group with any preliminary results we have on August 19th. That'll also be an opportunity for the working group to provide input to us and help us kind of scope out any further directions from that point till the end of the study. And then we'll deliver that final study to the working group by November 15th. So happy to take any questions on that, but like I said, you will be hearing from us in the next couple sessions as well.
All right. Thank you for that. And before we go on to our next item, just want to put a motion out there to change this work group's name from a work group to a solar panel. Did we get that joke recorded? Yeah, my team's telling me we did.
Get out of here.
All right. In the public record. So the next part of our agenda, and for this first one, we're actually going to this will probably be a shorter meeting, and we're gonna have a lot more content in our other meetings. So I did want to open up some discussion on, you've seen what we've kind of been thinking about in terms of how are we going to meet the statutory requirements in law. You've seen our schedule, some of our speakers that we're going to be having, some potential speakers as well. I just want to open up, what else should we be thinking about? Are we missing anything? Stuff like that.
I'll just state publicly that I appreciate all the work you've been putting into the, all our different speakers. I don't really make this an exciting work group solar panel to be part of.
Yeah.
All right, it's catching on.
Yeah, and I'll just say this. We're talking about the things that are in the panels that we can recycle. And I guess we also need to address some of those things that are really hazardous to the environment and to individuals that we're going to have experience difficulty recycling as well. So we just can get a full spectrum on the good and the bad.
That's a good point. We can also talk to our solid waste folks, which is also within this administration.
Right.
All right. I think Andrew was first, and then Mike Rogers.
I'm going to cede, if we could flip that, because Delegate Rogers is on the panel, and then I'll follow up as a member of the public.
So lots of good content from what I'm hearing so far, and I'm not sure if we covered it, but I know that storage is something that's pretty important, and I know that myself and Senator Brooks had a chance last summer to travel to Thailand, and some of the things that are evolving in the storage arena, I think can play a significant role in energy as it relates to solar, as it relates to wind, as it relates to other forms of clean energy. And so to the extent that we might be able to include, that as part of the conversation might be helpful.
Do we have another work group on the storage side, Cindy?
We do. We do have another working group that just launched this week. It is called the Energy Resilience and Efficiency Working Group, and it will be specifically looking at energy battery backups.
So perhaps the potential for some cross-pollination between the groups so that we both benefit from, what's out there.
Sure, and I know, and so they all still fall under the, Maryland Commission on Climate Change, and all of it certainly gets aggregated in the end as well. So I think that's certainly a good point there.
I will quickly add that we have a upcoming meeting, and all of these meetings are public, so you would be able to join that upcoming meeting. It will be June 18th, and it will be in person, so I can always share more details with Bradley, and he can share those out with this working group.
Thank you.
All right, Abby.
I just wanted to say that it would be nice as well to hear some personal stories. I just listened to a speaker who personally, he's an academic, but he's also was personally decommissioning panels on the ground. And that's a perspective we don't always hear. And one of the things he emphasized was that he's actually decommissioning systems that are 7 to 12 years old. And so the assumption that we're talking about projects that are 20, 30, 40 years old is also a false assumption. And so I think that perspective was really interesting also from like the worker installation perspective. Like he had more feedback on, on the front end and workforce development and training on how to extend the lifetime of systems through that. So there's just like, you just get a nuanced, different perspective when you have different people in the room. So I just wanted to recommend that. And I was curious in general, like as we meet more people and we want to make sure, invite them to come and be public participants in this process, like the best way for them to get on your email list and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have a running email list. If you have folks that you want to invite to us, please send that over my way and we can make sure that we get them added.
There, it also all goes up online on the Climate Commission page. I think we all have our individual pages where the link also goes up to make it a little bit easier too. And Cindy already got it. Thank you. Andrew doubling back for another one.
All right, as long as I'm good to speak.
Sure.
From a public's perspective, and going back to the summary that Dr. Kennedy gave about the work they're going to be undertaking, with all of the economic analysis that they're performing, I was curious to see if there was going to be a discussion about the potential business development within the state for this type of a recycling program. Maybe even link it to existing training programs for solar installers. And then I do have to throw in my Go Blue Jays, Proud Hopkins along. Thank you.
And actually, Shannon, who actually may have dropped off of the call, one of the things that she is working on is developing recycling markets in the state of Maryland. That was a law that was that required us to do that. That was passed maybe 2 or 3 years ago, something like that. And so we, as a part of this, we also want to bring recycling markets to Maryland. It would be nice if it was in some of the surrounding states, but we think that those industries might be better in the state of Maryland. So that will also be a part of the conversation, and that is something that we are working on that we've already been charged to do as well. All right. I think we've moved to opening to the public, or if we have any one of the other members want to add something, anything else that we should be thinking about for comments? Cindy?
Andrew mentioned worker training for solar panels and how that could develop over time. We actually have a just transition employment and retraining working group, and that working group is actually one that I'm leading, that I'm super excited about. And there will be a meeting next week, next Friday, in person here at MDE headquarters. And if you're interested in learning more about an excellent nonprofit called Civic Works and how they approach energy efficiency, solar panels, weatherization, a lot of relevant topics, please feel free to join that meeting.
All righty. Thank you for that. As you can see, there's a lot going on at the agency. Okay. Anything else from the group? Oh,
I can say this too. You know, one of the things that when I initially made the purchase of my panels, I mean, I didn't know a whole lot about it, but I wanted to reduce or mitigate the cost of my energy, you know. And the panels that I was offered, I didn't know about the quality and the different types of panels that like the monocrystalline or the other choices. I guess one would say the more efficient panels. I went with what the salesperson told me at that time was the best. So I think probably at this stage, since we have advanced with that technology, look and see what either encourage these salespeople to probably offer the best panels that they can, even though they might be a little bit more expensive. If they can get a longer useful life out of those panels, then it would definitely save those particular homeowners in the long run.
That's a good point. Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, and it looks like Chris Hoagland has joined us. We're just starting off with introductions. It's a big group. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for letting me hop in. I'm not on the group. I'm Chris Hoagland, I'm the director of the Air and Radiation Administration. I'm Tyler's counterpart for the air media. Grateful to the land team, Tyler and Brad, for leading this, as well as everyone for participating, so that we can, get out ahead of this potential future issue and make sure that we have great solutions in place now. So looking forward to all the work. Thanks, guys. All right, now that Chris is here, it seems like there's no more questions. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Really looking forward to the next work group. I'll make sure Chris is here right at the beginning so that he can answer all your questions. And with that, have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, and looking forward to having this great work group with all you guys and gals. All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.